All right, friends, it's Monday. It's September 26th. I was down in Boise yesterday, and I met with probably 30 other people who joined me on the corner of Cole and Barrister, and we were out there protesting Robert Jones being in jail. For those of you that don't know, Robert Jones is in jail for banging on a bucket. While we were there yesterday, guys, this just freaking warms my heart. I can't wait to tell you all of this. All right. We had officers driving by as they were coming in and out of the jail. Some of them, I think, were dropping people off, going in there for business reasons. Others were guards. And we had some awesome people out last night, and they were holding up traffic by using the crosswalk. Every time that light changed, they would cross the street. And so we did get the opportunity to talk to a couple of the different officers as well. I mean, we talked at them. They kind of listened. Not a whole lot of them really engaged back. But I found out today they have been talking to Robert. Guys, we started something huge. Those guards in the jail are in complete agreement that what Robert's in there for is complete and utter bullshit, and cannot believe that there are officers on the outside of that jail that are charging people with honking, and they're charging people for disturbing the peace for what he did. And this is huge, guys. Okay, so like if you listened to any of the live stream yesterday, I was not shy about yelling at these officers, telling them that the Nazis were just doing their job too. And this is super important because in the 30 plus days after Robert was, quote, charged with disturbing the peace, Ada County, I think it was Ada County, it may have just been Canyon County, and Nampa PD, they refused to serve that warrant on him. They didn't identify him. They were not going to enforce something that they didn't believe was right. All right, so there are some good officers out there, and it sounds like we do have some good officers now on the inside, and they are becoming aware of what the officers on the outside are doing. And I mean, we just saw that officer, that what's it called? The chief of police resign on Friday, basically because of peer pressure, because of all the complaints. And I think he hurt somebody. I haven't looked too far into this, so I should probably educate myself on that. But he no longer works for the city of Boise. So let's just think for a second. If Robert's in there and there's, I don't know, 10 guards on duty every day, right? That's 10 more guys that are going to be watching what other inmates are coming in, what they're charged with. Can you imagine the pushback that the guards are going to start doing if they start seeing all these ridiculous charges coming into the jail, and how they're going to start treating the officers that are bringing the inmates in? I think it's a turning point. So I don't know if anybody else was paying attention to what happened today, but there was an amazing presentation down in Nampa. So there was a couple of ladies that put this together. They had attorneys, they had military members, they had doctors, they had individuals that had been injured by vaccines. Amazing jam-packed day full of information coming out about how the government handled COVID and how they were wrong. This is really kind of what it boils down to, guys, because that's why Robert's in jail. He was standing up against the government at the beginning of all this. In December of 2020, he was standing up against lockdowns. He was standing up against health departments stepping over the authority that they had, and he affected, and everybody in Idaho that was protesting all of the masks and all of the lockdowns and all of the stupid measures that the health departments were trying to push back in 2020. Every single one of you that showed up at all of these protests, you absolutely impacted the way that Idaho responded to the lockdowns and the pandemic. And it impacted, I believe, it impacted the number of people that were negatively affected in Idaho. I know a lot of us are still really upset, and a lot of us feel like it still wasn't good. Like, we had a really shitty response, let's be honest. Okay, Brad tried to say we're not locked down, or we are locked down, but now we weren't locked down. He's lied about it the whole time. People were arrested for going to parks. They were arrested for having yard sales. They were arrested for singing in a stinking parking lot, standing on a frickin' circle, and not wearing a mask. Like, the way that it was handled in Idaho was absolutely stupid, but compared to other states, it really wasn't as bad. And that's what Robert was standing up for. He was standing up for everybody, and everybody's right to make their own choices about their own body and not have the government dictate to us how we took care of our health. I kind of got off track there. So the officers. This is how it happens, guys. It starts with one person talking to another person, and he is affecting some serious change in there. And everybody that was outside the jail the other night that those officers saw, it was a topic of conversation all day today. And that's what we wanted. And so I just thank everybody that decided to come out. You guys are making a difference. So Robert's been in jail, and he's been talking with all of the other inmates. There's been 2 in particular that he's been talking to about their legal stuff. One of them has had some issues with CPS, and he's been actively speaking with this guy. And that guy got some good news today. Apparently the kids are no longer going to be placed with foster parents. They are going to go with family, and that was as of today, I believe. So there's some pressure happening. Pressure is good, and it looks like it is working out well for the people that Robert is talking to. So that's really exciting, because even on the inside, he did affect some kids' lives, and that's Robert's whole, that's what he strives for. So that's good. He did want to reiterate the conditions in there are good. So they're not as bad as Canyon County. The guys behind the desk don't like him very much, but the actual guards on the inside, the more he talks to them, they didn't realize at first that the people outside were protesting for him. They thought it was over some bad guy that was in there. But he got to tell them the whole story and all the different things that he's been charged with. I would really love to know if he had the opportunity to talk to them about baby Cyrus. If you guys followed that case at all, you know Robert was really, really involved with baby Cyrus. So maybe there's a possibility that the reason he's in for as long as he's in is retaliation. I don't know. But I would be really interested to see how those officers react when Robert tells them how the other officers reacted and how the other officers treated Miranda and Marissa and Levi and all of them that night, because I think that's kind of an embarrassment to any police officer, and that footage is available all over the internet. So I really hope that Robert has the opportunity to tell that story from his side, because obviously the officers are starting to see that the way he has been portrayed in the media is not accurate to who he is as a person and what he stands for. So I would really, really love to hear how the officers react, and if they go home and if they watch those videos. Because I mean, you can't hear all that stuff in the jail and then not be curious. So I'm sure they go home and Google him and Google what he's all about and who his friends are, and who knows, maybe they're watching this one. Anyways, so side note, all of that, but really good stuff is happening, guys. He's stuck in there. He's working while he's in there. And his biggest concern is that we're going to forget about him. So longevity and keeping these protests going while he's inside is so important. Keeping the letters going while he's in there is super important. He did not get any letters today, and that could be my fault because I didn't write my return address, but The letter I mailed today had a return address. I did get mine in the mail today, and I've got another one ready to go out tomorrow. So if you have time, please take a few minutes right now, write Robert a letter, get it in the mail tomorrow. He did get some letters from Dana, so Dana, thank you. I know you already know this because you talked to him tonight. But include your phone number, guys. He can call you. So if you include your phone number and include a return address so that the police can stalk you, he can call you. So get your return address on there, send him a letter, send him a note of encouragement because he is making an impact. And those officers talk. You know they talk. And all this information that started coming out today in Nampa, it's really showing everybody that all it takes is one person. It takes one person who is brave enough to stand up and say, no, this is wrong. And if that one person has enough courage to stand up and say this is wrong and we're not going to accept it, somebody else is going to stand with you. And when they stand with you, then it encourages other people to stand up. So please share what's going on, and don't be afraid to stand up and say this is wrong and we're not going to accept it. We can't accept what's going on right now in this world to be our new normal. We don't want it as the new normal. Your kids don't want it as the new normal. Robert's kids don't want this as the new normal. This is not an acceptable... It's not acceptable for his family to have to go through this just because our system is corrupt. His kids watched him go to jail over something that he shouldn't be in jail for 6 months for this. Even the guards on the inside are saying he shouldn't be in jail for 6 months for this. Good things are happening though, guys, so please, if you have the opportunity to write him a letter, take a few minutes and write him a letter of encouragement. He needs that while he's in there. If you have the ability to write Melanie a note, please do. She needs the encouragement too. And keep his kids in your prayers. If you're the religious type, please keep them in your prayers. If not, keep them in your thoughts. What they're going through is their dad basically got kidnapped by the state. There's no other way to look at it. He should not be in jail for this crime. It's not a crime. It's a First Amendment issue. And his kids are the ones paying the biggest price of anybody because they're missing out on time with their dad, and this is hard for them. So write him a letter. Include your phone number. He can call. So, I mean, I don't know how many people he wants to call while he's in there because it is really expensive. I think it's like $10 a phone call for like 20 minutes. But I think he can call all day long. So send money. The link's in the description and his address is in the description. If you want to write him a letter, make sure you include a return address. And I do want to know when you guys want to do another protest. And maybe we shouldn't call it a protest, but we should call it a rally, because I think it was really encouraging for him to be able to talk with the officers and educate them. It was really, really encouraging to hear how they reacted to officers on the outside and what they arrested him for. He is making an impact on how those officers view the law and how they view other officers. And peer pressure is an amazing thing, guys. So make sure that you write him a letter and talk to somebody. Have that uncomfortable conversation, and don't accept going to jail for 6 months for disturbing the peace as the new normal. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.